All right, what is up, everybody? This is Alex once again with the EOT Newsflash. This is episode 69. How many hashtags does it take to get to a ban? Lots of stuff to talk about tonight, but of course I have to announce my co-host for this evening. You can see him down in the corner that way, Mr. Busted Sleeves. How's it going, Shawn?
Good. How are you doing?
I am fantastic. Ready to talk about some shakeups, as it were.
Yeah. Sounds. I'm ready to see what else is going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah. We might get another card banned in standard because why not at this point?
Yeah, we're just going to keep going ham. I mean, why not? Yeah.
Oh man, so I have some terrible cat jokes that we can throw out. I'll implement later in the episode.
Terrible cat jokes that you're going to throw out. I'm not going to be making any cat jokes. That won't be happening.
So let me ask you real quick, Shawn. There were 10 cats on top of a car, and one jumped off. How many cats were left on top of the car?
9.
No, there were no cats left. They were all copycats. Oh man, and that segues beautifully.
Does it?
I
does
think
it
it
segue
does.
beautifully? Sure.
I think it segues as beautifully as the announcement was awkward on what was it, Tuesday last week?
Before we transition, I feel like your mom's the kind of mom who always told you like you're so smart, you can be anything you want when you grow up, Alex, and you're the kid who like held on to it. And you never realized life doesn't work that way, and you're like, oh, Mom, I'm so clever, and no, it's just terrible puns.
That's how I've gotten from this line. This is how far I've gotten this far in life so far.
You still have this childlike innocence. You're like, oh, I can be clever.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, that whole segue was about as smooth as the announcement was on what day was that? April 26th? Was that Wednesday last week?
Yeah, it was like 2 days after the announcement.
It was like Wizards kind of like just tripped over themselves and then were like, oh, by the way, guys, there's actually more to talk about. So if you caught last week's episode and probably have been paying attention to the Magic internetosphere, we got to see that Sensei's Dividing Top and Gush and Contexting Probe had been restricted in Vintage, Top had been banned in Legacy, and everybody lost their collective shit about nothing being banned in Standard. And then on, that was April, not August, yeah. August 26th, Wizards came along. Aaron Forsyth did a little update. I think it was pretty late in the evening, actually, to let us know that Felidar Guardian is banned in Standard.
Yeah, they banned the wrong half of the combo.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
I would say so. Yeah, one is easily more abusable than the other, but
Yeah. Well, the cat was just like, you could just do cool things with the cat.
Yeah,
it enabled this like fun tempo deck, and they banned a card that didn't see any play without the cat.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I think what it comes down to is that if you ban a card like Saheeli Rai, you're banning a flagship card from a set. And I know we talked about this a little bit on our chats, but I think it's kind of it puts a bad taste in a player's mouth if you say that character that you really like. If you're a fan of Saheeli and the story and what she does, interacting with the with everybody on Kaladesh, then it's kind of a bummer. It's like, well, we can ban this lame common or uncommon in this case, or we can ban a planeswalker, which I think is what they're trying to avoid and do in some cases.
I mean, we didn't really have a problem with Jace the Mind Sculptor got banned in Standard.
People was tired of Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Well, people were tired of the cat combo. So
that's actually true. Yeah.
Like there's still like the possibility like Panharmonicons. We have this Cat Lord. Like there's these things that Felidar could have done that would have been interesting. I mean, I'm all for him being gone because I don't want this like even more mid-rangey 1/4 hanging out. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So effective on Friday the 28th. So FNM last week. Went into effect. It went into effect on Magic Online on the 27th, and this is basically Aaron Forsyth gave us a pretty cut and dry response on why they did it. So the question was asked, why are they making this call now, and why didn't we make it on our regular ban and restricted announcement on Monday? The answer is data. We knew going into Monday that the Saheeli Felidar combo was a significant issue for Standard, and we're watching it closely. Our rationale was to make sure we not only needed to take out one action to correct the Standard environment, our plan was to monitor early play behavior and pro competition and make a call following Pro Tour Amon Cats. And they went on to talk about how the online leagues were approximately 40% made up of cat combo decks, of 5-0 and 4-1 decks, and they basically decided to just pull the rug out from underneath everybody. And I honestly think that it was a bit of a knee-jerk reaction, honestly. The set had been live on Magic Online for, 24 hours, 48 hours at most. And obviously people are just going to take the best deck from the previous format, add the best new cards in it, which was, I think, Glorybringer, and I think Manglehorn was making those 75s, and just playing that. I mean, I really think that this was too early of a reaction instead of actually waiting to see what would happen at the Pro Tour, I think. So, what are your thoughts on this, Shawn? How do you interpret the banning here?
So, my big takeaway from the banning was something needed to be done. So right. we definitely needed the cat combo to be taken care of. My only problem is I'm one of the people who always complains about Wizards taking action without really thinking things through. They don't really do good future league. They don't really test things out. They have a very inbred system of thinking.
Yeah.
And so whenever they came out and said, this whole new set of cards has come out, we want to see how it's going to impact it. I was one of the people who said it's all that's going to happen is cat combo is going to get better.
Yep.
Because they have better interaction for the only other deck in the format, which is Mardu, because that Shatter that cycles, Glorybringer, and Manglehorn are just designed to shut down these Mardu decks. So so there's obviously cat combo is going to get better because now the only other deck in the format got worse. However, I was okay with them saying we're not going to ban anything yet. We're going to give it 5 weeks, June 14th. It's a couple weeks after the Pro Tour. We're going to see where everything stands, and we're going to make a ban after we've seen how an Amaket impacts the set. So this way, if we need to ban something out of Mardu and out of Cat Combo, it's all happening simultaneously as opposed to this chop system. Yeah. There was no way we got enough data in 2 days to actually make a decision. It was very much because of the public outcry. Yeah. If you look at the MTG top 8, they still has copycat listed in their percentages. 29% is copycat, 33% is Mardu aggro. So wow. Mardu is technically a higher percentage now. It does have some results since the ban, so its percentage is upward. But I mean, it's still a huge part of the format. So obviously, it's not just because of the numbers. It's because of a lot of other features in the format. So and they didn't go into explaining that. It definitely sounded very much like we don't like how angry people are, so we're going to ban it. We're going to say data, and we're going to say the number 40% because that sounds like a big number.
Yeah.
and there was all kinds of good reasons, but they didn't explain the good reasons. It just sounded like we don't want to sound like we're wrong. Just say we're wrong.
Yeah.
That's fine. That would have been fine too.
Yeah, I think that makes you look better, I think.
With that. Yeah, I would have been fine with them saying, due to the public outcry and the lack of interaction, we are going to take into account this. This does not mean we're always going to ban decks people don't like. If people don't like Delirium, we won't ban it because the deck's not fun, because it's grindy. We're banning this deck because it's in a format that we don't want to print interactive spells in very heavily, and it's a combo, which means that you need those spells. So either we have to warp our design of formats, or we have to get rid of this combo. And that would have been a beautiful explanation. That would have been fine. I was really glad that they were going to wait and see what happens. But if you didn't want to do that, just say honestly what it is. Don't tell me it's 2 days of data. That's not enough. It's really largely because of the public outcry. Because Mardu is a huge percentage of the format. We've had other decks that have been massive percentages of the format. It's not a percentage call. It's a fact of either we need to warp how we design cards moving forward to answer this combo for the next 2 years, or we just get rid of the combo.
Yeah.
And just say that. Just say we didn't make the decision because we really wanted to see how Amaket was, and we really wanted to see if our players could find a way to answer it without us having to step in because we just had to ban 3 cards. And because of the public outcry, we feel like the public would rather us go ahead and take care of this problem so they can design freely as opposed to having to design to beat this strangle of a format. Yeah. And I would have respected that.
Absolutely.
I would have respected more if they would said, we had faith in you and you were lazy, and so you called for Mom to come in and take care of you, and so Mom stepped in and swung the spatula and took the combo out. I would have much preferred that over anything they said in the article.
Can you imagine the outcry, though, if they just said, we put it on you guys to solve this, but you didn't?
Yeah, instead y'all got angry. Fine. Say, we gave you a whole new set of cards. We gave you ways to interact. But then the promise people come back and be like, you didn't even know the combo was a thing. That was not something they should have ever said. They should have never said that. They should have just been like, we design all of our cards very carefully, and just like had a very, very politician answer. Don't just tell us we didn't know the combo was a thing, because it just made people more frustrated.
Yeah.
It was obvious they didn't know.
Yeah, it took the internet all of like an hour to figure that out once they actually revealed Felidar Guardian. Like it was instantaneous essentially within internet time. I mean, you can find a copy of Saheeli for less than $20 within like an hour of the announcement. So
yeah. I mean, there was other decks that were starting to creep up. Blue-red control got better. Like, there's all these other things that got better. And so, like, we might have been all Interact. Copycat would have still been a huge part of the format. You still would have occasionally, if you weren't on Copycat, even if you were going to lose games to the opponent drawing combo and you not having interaction. That was going to happen. But you lose games to a tireless tracker and you don't have a kill spell, and all of a sudden that thing's fat. Like, that happens. This is the game we play. So I was wanting it gone, but I wanted it to be gone on correct terms. And it wasn't. It wasn't taken care of on correct terms.
Definitely agree there.
So I lost a lot of respect for the way they handled it PR wise. They could have any other method of telling me. You could have literally called me out by name. Aaron Forsyth could have been like, that Sean Hughes kid, he's just a bitch. He refused to figure out a way to get around it, so we're going to take it away so he stops complaining. You're welcome. And I would say, cool. Didn't need to say my name, but cool. Like, just, I don't know. Yeah, it just felt like they don't want to look bad. Like, they think like, oh, if we admit we make a mistake, we're going to lose 10% market share. No. If you just tell me it's because of the public demand, if you just tell me because we after we made our ban announcements, we looked at a couple days worth of information and our future league wasn't seeing a way it lines up. I mean, the only way it could have been worse is if they would have said our future league has found solutions, because I don't fucking trust those guys at all. They're awful. So like that would be the only explanation they could have given me that would have been worse, is if you would have said the future league's got it. No. Yeah. No. Well, I want to see those deck lists.
And the point that those deck lists, the times that they've actually posted them, and I haven't seen an article that actually talk about future league deck lists. When you look at them, it's like, what were they thinking? Like, this isn't a deck. I mean, this is not even close to what we figured out as far as top deck goes. I don't think the skill level of the players inside the future league, and for that matter, inside of Wizards R&D in general, is just all that high, to be completely honest. And that sounds terrible, but
you know what would be sweet?
It is.
You know what would be really awesome is there's some good future league players, but a lot of them don't have time. A lot of them don't have time, and there's a minute number. So it's like the old days of Magic before the internet. Like, it took forever for a deck to become tuned because it was only like 5 people working on the deck. You couldn't just Google it and have 1,000 people on Moto playing it.
Yeah.
But now we can. They need to catch up to the times. I think what would be sweet, all right, is take all these card design concepts and don't give them art. Just don't even worry about giving them art. Give them generic names and testing their mana costs, and it's cards from the next 2 years of cards. Not all of them are going to make the cut, and just create a beta room on Magic Online where players go in and they access this like 1,000 card pool, and all out of this 1,000 card, 200 of them are going to be in a set. The rest of them are going to get filed for possible redevelopment later. Yeah. And then they just take data points from it, and every day there's updates based off card designs. Yeah. So it's like, okay, well, we printed this Glory Bringer card, and it was a 4-mana 4/4 flying haste dragon that you could choose not to don't give any keywords. Like, you could choose not to untap it next untap step after it attacks, and if you do, whenever it attacks, it deals 4 damage. And then you're like, oh, wait, our numbers are showing that the Glory Bringer wins on turn 4 every time. Let's try it at 5 mana. Okay, its percentages are a lot less destructive, so this card at 5 mana is fine. We will now template it in towards a set and put it in a set. So, like, have really genericized concepts that you want to test and put it out there, because, I mean, I can't leak the cards. I don't know the card names. I don't know what actual color affiliations they might be. You might be putting them in another color affiliation. I don't know what set they're actually going to come out of, and they might never actually even get printed. But you're getting a whole field of players who are getting to test your cards for you and give you data.
I mean, that's crowdsourcing standard at that point. That would be insane. I mean, it takes a good amount of development on their part to actually give that. Have that available.
It would take like a 2 or 3 year rollout process, but like you would have a card pool of 1,000 to 2,000 cards, and only 180 to 260 of them are going in a set. So I can't spoil anything, and I might not even. they might not even be 260 cards out of that set, right? Because they're still going to do their future league where they're testing interactions within cards that they're considering, but we're giving them a short list.
Yeah.
And they're saying, okay, these types of interactions can't be together because people are breaking them too much. Yeah. And so they just pull it out of that future concept. They just say, okay, this 2-card combination, the Saheeli and Cat, we didn't see that combo, so we're going to pull the Cat out. He might come back in a later set after the Saheeli card's gone, but we're going to keep testing the Saheeli and see if it does anything. Yeah. Like, it would be sweet. I don't know. It's a possibility. It's using the resource of people who spend so much time playing your game online.
Yeah, yeah. I would be curious to see how the divide of the population goes, because you have people who are constantly testing for standard and modern things like that. If they would actually take the time to say, all right, I'm not going to test standard this week, I'm going to go and test this potential future league. It's a big ask on, I think, players' time, but it's a really cool idea. I like that a lot, actually.
That's the problem, is like, but it would become more of a hobby for people. Like, there's so many people who get on and play, and they're just playing casually, and they're streaming, and if you can make it look flashy, like give some cool arts that don't necessarily have anything to do with the card, but just cool art so it doesn't look boring, you would end up, and there's no flavor text, so the text is bigger, but you would have Twitchers who, like, all they do is play that league, and because it's all Phantom events, it's an entry into, like, it's almost just like playing a modern or legacy format, Phantom style, and you have access to all these cards, and those cards you're only usable in this. You don't get to keep any cards, and you just pay a few tickets. You play a league, you get a refund of tickets. Like, and like, and I think I don't know. I think it'd be sweet, and you could even bump the prize support a little bit and just say, like, instead of a booster pack, which is worth about 3 tickets, if you win this many matches, we give you 4 tickets to the same scale, so you get like a 0.7 ticket profit.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think they could do it, and maybe that's something to incorporate into Magic Digital next, whenever they tell us what the heck that actually is. Hopefully sometime this year.
It's going to be awful.
But let's not talk about that. So, but let's talk about what happens when you give Standard a catitude adjustment.
I bring in this solution mentality, and you come to me with puns.
I got to put the balance out. I got to balance the scales.
That's fair. All right.
I have to restore balance. I'm
gonna let it go. Don't get out. No.
All right. So we had ourselves a little tournament in Atlanta, Georgia this weekend. I believe there were only 500 players actually showed up for this thing, which is already kind of telling.
I mean, all these Cat players lost their decks.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and they announced it on a Wednesday, literally 48 hours before a massive tournament. So obviously I was reading articles online from a lot of the circuit players who were like, well, what do I play now? And it seems that the collective, population kind of decided that Mardu Vehicles was going to be the go-to, because of the Day 2 metagame breakdown, there were 28 Mardu Vehicles players, which is pretty absurd out of the 116 players returning for Day 2. But the field, aside from that, looked pretty diverse. Beyond that, we had Black-Green Delirium, Blue-Red Control, Jeskai Control, Green-White Tokens, Black-Green Aggro, Energy, Mishmash, several versions of Aetherworks, of Temur and Bant. So we had Sultai Control, Blue-Red Emerge, White-Red Humans, Jund Monsters. Wasn't that a deck from, like, Theros? I think maybe somebody snuck in with some Polochronoses in their deck list.
Maybe.
But yeah, like, and we had, Dynavolt Tower showed back up. Thermo Alchemist decks were there. I mean, it definitely looked like people were coming to play with the new toys, but it was the people who decided that no, I'm going to stick with what's been tried and tested, and just crush with Mardu Vehicles.
Yeah, I mean, you just stay on this proactive deck. And, like, the thing is, so on Magic Online, there's some more adaptations to Mardu that look a little bit better and a little bit more responsive to the Cat combo being gone. Yeah. The SCG played it a lot safer, which is normal. But, I mean, and as far as the 500 players go, people who are planning to travel to Atlanta for the tournament already have everything planned, and I don't think they're canceling because of Cat combo. No. What that probably, the 500 players probably tells us that had Cat combo not been banned, it would have been a very low turnout because of Cat combo, not because it got banned, but because people weren't going to go because it existed.
Right.
I think that really is more telling on the combo itself.
Yeah.
But the Mardu decks, like, they were a safe play. The format does look a little bit more diverse. The green-black decks in history have had decent matchups against Mardu. Yeah. which is good because those decks will get a little bit more play starting next week. But people wanted to see how the format shifted, because if the format shifts to like some fumigate decks, you don't want to be on green-black.
Yeah, exactly.
So people wanted to see how it switched. Now that Mardu has shown like we're by a large percentage at the top of deck in the format, you're going to see a lot more green-black energy, green-black delirium, and Jund energy.
Yeah.
The blue-red tower decks are a lot better. But the Mardu decks got a lot out of what is it? Cut and ribbons? Cut to ribbons?
That card is insane. And
that
the
card,
cycling land, Canyon Slaw, lets them play 25 lands now and have not a whole lot of fear of flooding anymore, which is
there's a lot of things they can do, because the problem is that if the deck didn't flood out but it got 3 or 4 lands, it was just like really good. But whenever it flooded out, it didn't have anything else to do, and so now you got to shave some of these like less ideal removal spells, and you get to run cut ribbons, which just eventually ends the game.
Yeah.
You can actually set up, whenever there's these creature matchups, if they don't have cut to ribbons, then you have the trump, which is I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to get in the way of you and occasionally chop through with a heart or a scrap heap scrounger, and then get in the way again, and I'll unlicensed disintegration here, get in the way again, until like these 2 ribbons in my graveyard mean you're dead.
Yeah.
And so like you can play this stalled out game. Like the Gideon deck definitely needed to get better. Because that card's not impressive.
If you're not watching this on YouTube, Shawn just made the biggest bullshit face in the world.
God, I've been playing Mardu a lot lately because I'm trying to be more proactive. And last night I was playing Blue Red Emerge on my stream, and I played against. I played 1 or 2 games just because I was trying to get my stream a little more tuned, and then I like got tired and got off. But I like played against Mardu Vehicles, and I'm crushing my opponent, and he's hellbent, and he just draws his Gideon and plays it, and I barely win that game. I was so far ahead, and he plays this Gideon, and I'm like, well, shit, okay. I don't know what I do here. I don't think I can win this race where I'm chopping at him, and he's cracking back for 5, and he's got these Ravens that are chomping me, so I can't kill this kid. It was real scary. I had to, like, draw this chain of Kozilek's Returns into Elder Deep Fiends into killing this Gideon, and him not drawing a little bit extra gas to get there. It was atrocious.
Right.
That card's broken. But giving us now this ability to, like your Gideon, the 0 to make a 2/2, you normally just go Gideon Emblem or Gideon 0 plus attack. Yep. But now whenever the board's real muddy, especially against like green-black, if they don't have a trampler, you just like make an ally block, ribbons you. And it's just, oh, okay.
Yeah, I was reading a couple articles on Star City Games this morning that they basically were complaining that Mardu Vehicles can play this aggro game and this control game, and I thought, well, what does that remind me of? Cobblade and fairies. So we have these little card-driving fairies now in the format. Yeah. It's just kind of adorable.
And it's almost
terrifying.
It's almost better than those decks. Like, those decks are really good, but like what makes them almost better is that they're more resilient to like interaction, because vehicles and planeswalkers and manlands, and scrap heap scrounger, like it's very resilient. It's not a counter based, so it's not like mana leaks and spell stutter sprites where you're having to keep this mana open and play at this like high speed interactive game and wait till the late game. You're able to kill your opponent a lot faster than those decks could, because your interactions are responsive instead of like you being on your heels. You're not on your heels with counter magic. You're on the balls of your feet with removal spells. And so you're like, I'm putting this pressure. Oh, wait, you're starting to actually do pressure back. Unlicensed disintegration. Yeah. Continue putting pressure. Like the deck is really, really strong in a proactive way while still has the ability to shift gears, which vehicles have made very important to do in this format.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we're seeing just how dangerous that artifacts can be when Wizards wants to really push the envelope. When we had them the first go around back in Mirrodin, we got some of those busted artifacts ever, like, especially equipment-wise. We got cranial plating, which is an absolute nightmare. We got swords later on, the repeat of the sword cycle in Scar's block, and now we have these vehicles. And I really don't think that Wizards knows how to build a set that has balanced artifacts, which is just fine. But I don't think they know what they're doing.
Yeah, like the Scars block wasn't insane in artifacts, but these vehicles are really strong because they're like so protected from sorcery speed interactions, and so like cut doesn't kill a Hardikiran, unless you go to blocks. I think it's sorcery. Yep. But they're really good, and they have these synergies like online disintegration. Now I think the Mardu deck is inflated right now because people, like we said, had 2 days to prepare for this tournament. Yeah. So that was a safe bet. when green-black Delirium and green-black Energy and Jund start running the Shatter that can cycle and running Manglehorn and running this Ronus so they can just close out the game. Like the only deck outside of Eliminate Combo in testing, where I've been testing recently, the only deck that could keep up with Mardu consistently is a deck that could put on a reasonable clock with similar interaction. Yep. And so now you don't have to run Appetite for the unnatural that costs 3 mana, or Natural State that doesn't necessarily hit everything. You just run a Shatter that cycles. Yep. You run Grasp of Darkness still. You run Ronus, who is so easy to turn on.
Yeah, well, everything in the deck turns are on, yeah.
Yeah, especially in the Delirium version. Like, Tireless Tracker, Sylvan Advocate, Grim Flare. Ishkana doesn't, but Mind Rack Demon's really good right now. Yep. Noxious Gearhulk. So this Ronus, you just slam this Ronus, and this 5/5's just chopping away at the opponent, and you're playing these other fat things to interact with anything they do. Mind Rack Demon interacts really well with a lot of stuff in the format. So
yeah.
I don't think this Mardu's, like, this first week was really inflated, but I don't think it's going to be the only dominant deck. It just probably has the best card quality in a vacuum.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Every article that I read today was basically saying this is the last weekend that Mardu will put up this kind of an oppressive result. We're going to see these Torrential Gearhulk decks come out next week. We'll see the Sultai Delirium decks, the Black and Delirium decks, the Energy decks. We're going to see everything kind of come up to fruition. Like even this red-white human deck, when we get to the top 8 here, the existence of a deck like that makes Mardu look real bad because half of their things can't block. Scrap Beach Gunner cannot block, and if they were crewing up their Heart of Kierans the entire time, you've got these little 1 and 2 drops and Glorybound Initiates that's crashing in off of a Always Watching. If that deck picks up, it's going to crush Mardu eventually out of the format. Maybe not out of the format, but it will be we will have a rock paper scissors metagame, I think.
Mardu's going to stay. Mardu's going to stay top 2 or 3.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
It'll probably stay the number 1 deck until it rotates. Because you can bring in like Aethersphere Harvesters, interact with that kind of thing. The trick is that like Marvel is looking closer. It still needs some tuning, like maybe some Jabberwocky does a little bit of work on it. That guy was one who made it, who got Emrakul banned. In all reality, like Emrakul was a problem in the Delirium deck. Jabberwocky got Emrakul banned. Like he was the one. Nobody was touching Marvel until he played Red Green Marvel online and did all these primers, and then it became one of the top decks in the format. And everybody was getting turn 4 Emrakuls, and they were like, "We got to get rid of this card." Yeah. So like, if he goes back and visits this Marvel deck, maybe he could get it working again. Give it a Delirium package to get Ishkana. But I mean, there's the format. No combo makes the format way more open. Yeah, absolutely. And this set gave us artifact removal that we badly needed.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody has to constantly, because all that, like I was reading today, everybody had to play super low to the ground and then hold up mana turn 4 plus, and that's just no way to play standard. I mean, you can do that in modern, that's fine because we have cheap interaction there, but you can't let these force these standard kids to live in fear of a million cats attacking their face.
Well, the spells are worse in the format, and right now it's like whenever you design creatures that are aggressively costed with good bodies and they have spells on them, that leads to mid range, and so now. They made 2 years worth of mid-range cards, and mid-range can't beat combo consistently because they can't cast their cards. So then they were dying to the fact that this combo deck, if it wasn't playing the mirror match, just hit you with Rogue Refiners and Whirlers eventually, and you died. And so like it was just really awkward. So it's definitely going to open up the format more. I would love to see it after a week or two where people know what the bans happened, and so they can do a little bit of work on it. Sure. The Pro Tour should be really fun to watch because now that people are going to actually design decks with an open format, and so we're going to see what people think does the best in open formats, as opposed to B cat deck or B cat deck.
Yeah, I think that the teams that show up to the Pro Tour with Mardu Vehicles will just kind of, I think to me that will be them saying, we just didn't want to try, this was already established, and we thought this would just be good enough. But it's these teams will show up with something really innovative. Maybe it is the next evolution of the Gearhulk decks, the Torrentials, and your Black Green Energy decks. I think those will be the ones who show up and like, all right, let's rock this Pro Tour. With something really crazy and out there.
I mean, Mardu's still really powerful. It's still going to crush the Pro Tour. It's still going to be all over the place. But like, there's going to be some sweet stuff that's going to probably pop up in the Pro Tour. Yeah. It's going to be a pretty cool format.
Yeah. So let's dig into let's just like the top 16, and there's a couple of outlier decks within Elena's Open. Really quickly though, you made mention of Gideon and how just oppressively good that card is. As far as I can tell, and I did a pretty quick cursory look, the new Gideon of the Trials did not show up at all this weekend.
It's not gonna.
Does that surprise you at all? With
No.
Obviously, Ally of Zendikar is a much better card in a vacuum. So I can think of really not any place for Ally of the Trials to show up in Standard right now.
Right, like the only decks that want it are decks that want more aggressive costed threats. In which case he's not as good as like other cards because he's just like I think he's like a 4/4.
Yeah.
Or is he a 5/5?
I
don't remember. Oh.
I could look.
But like the not losing the game thing doesn't really have a play in Standard. And just allies just so much better. The ability to emblem is really good. It beats down real hard. It makes dudes.
He is a 4/4.
Yeah, so this guy dies to grasp.
Yeah.
There's just not much use for him in the format while Ally's around. And I didn't think he was going to get played. I thought he was going to end up dropping because he's just not as good as Ally. And even whenever Ally leaves, he won't get played as much as Ally is getting played because he's way more conditional.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I just thought it was as much hype there was around him, as inflated as his price tag was. It's just like this isn't going to sustain at all.
I mean, think about the metric of like ahead, parity, and behind.
Mm-hmm.
If you're ahead, both guys are okay, but a 5/5 is better. If you're at parity, a guy that makes 2/2s is way better than a guy that bubbles a creature or prevents you from losing. Because you're not trying to you're trying not to not lose. You're trying to find a way to win the game.
Yeah.
And if you're behind, they just kill this thing and then still kill you.
Yeah.
So he's just not as good as the other one. Whereas the other one makes blockers and he hits harder and he can make your dudes bigger. So like you interact with like red removal spells better and opponents' creatures better. It's just better.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so let's break down our top 8 here. So there were 5 Mardu vehicle decks in the top 8, which is what it's going to be. There is some cool technology here, though. And I'm looking at Andrew Jessup's first place deck here. So it is pretty much just the usual suspects. We do see the return of Archangel Avacyn in the main board. There's Cut, like you mentioned, Cut to Ribbons in there. We have the Canyon Slaw being the cycling land of choice here. I like seeing Nahiri and Soren Grim Nemesis in the sideboard, though, to go into this sort of pseudo control package. I think is a really cool innovation as far as game 1 aggro, game 2 control, and then game 3 keep your opponent guessing. I think it's a really cool.
Well, that's how it's been for a little while. The last 3 to 6 weeks I've been playing Mardu, my board has 3 or 4 planeswalkers, a couple fumigates, painful truths. Like you become a control deck against anybody trying to be faster than you.
Yeah.
Like the green black decks, because you couldn't beat green black on their terms.
Yeah.
So you had to just adjust. The second place list has got this Glorybringer, which is sweet. I'm not sure how good Archangel is anymore, and the Walking Ballista is like no longer needed in the deck,
which
because
is crazy too.
Yeah, because the card's just so slow. You only ran it as a way to have an artifact that interacts with Saheeli. Mm-hmm. That was like the only reason to have it. You're like, it turns on Toolcrafter and it can occasionally kill the opponent, but you really didn't like running Walking Ballista.
Yeah.
So
that's
I'm surprised he won with it in his deck.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a fat matter of just what was good the weeks before, and then card availability. I mean, most of these guys are like the guys who are playing Mardu Vehicles changed 5 cards, maybe if that. Yeah. Which is fine, but you start seeing these these innovations creep through, which I think is the big point here. So we have Andrew Jessup, Ryan McDonough, and Sam Kalla all in first, second, and third place, all play Mardu Vehicles. Fourth place, we see Zach Stern, which is about as bare bones of a deck as you can possibly make when it comes to week 1. So he's got 30 creatures, 22 lands, 8 spells, 4 of them being always watching, and of course, a majority of his creatures, well, a couple of his creatures at least, all have Exert. Glorybound Initiative being the obvious inclusion here, makes it a permanent 5/5 every turn it attacks, which is kind of nuts. Yeah. And in his sideboard, he's got 4 lands, Needle Spires, Gideon, Glorybringer, and Soulful Spirit. I mean, if you he showed up to do one thing, and That was it, just smash face.
Yeah, you just hedge against like some decks. Like you don't need 4 Decoration Stone. Okay, do we want Glorybringer or do we want Gideon?
Yeah.
Or Selfless Spirit. Like, is Hanowar Garrison too slow? Okay, well we bring out Hanowar Garrison. We bring in Selfless Spirits. Like, it's just really small shaves, very small shaves.
So I wonder though, because he has a Hanowar Battlements in his mana base.
Yeah, I was just looking at that.
Do you think that he got to merge them at some point during the tournament?
I doubt it. I mean, it's just you get so blown out if you do, but maybe.
You can dream though. You can dream.
Yeah, I mean, the card is, if you do merge it, it's insane. I just don't think it's gonna line up very often. The Garrison's like an interesting card.
Yeah,
just on its own. Because it could just take over the game if they don't kill it like right away.
Mini Hero Bladehold is nothing to sneeze at. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's perfectly cool. And then we saw Brendan DeCandio with Black Green Delirium. So we got to see the full package here. We get to see surprisingly Liliana, the new one, is only in the sideboard. Although I saw her do some pretty good work over the weekend. But this deck looks almost completely identical to pre-Amonkhet decks here, which is kind of to be expected. Although we do see Never to Return, which was seeing a lot more play than I was expecting, because Ruinous Path hadn't really seen any play recently, and to see this card show up in multiple decks as more than just one of, I think is pretty indicative of its power.
Well, these decks that are playing this mid-range game that's trying to like grind an opponent out, the ability to catch a stranded Scrap Heap Scrounger is really big.
Yeah.
Even though it's not instant speed, if it was an instant speed, it would be broken.
Yes.
But the fact that it's a sorcery speed, like Mardu very often will just have this one Scrap Heap Scrounger sitting in the yard, and they're like, they don't have the mana to bring it back, or they don't have a creature quite yet, and so you just return it, and you get a 2/2 that trades off something with something else.
Yeah.
So you end up getting, out of this one card, you kill a creature, you exile a Scrap Heap Scrounger, and you trade your 2/2 off for something, so it's a 3-for-1.
Yeah.
Over time. But, yeah.
Tons of value there.
The Green-Black Derium list looks pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think like if I were to play a standard event in the near future, that would probably be where I would go with this. Like, it just looks to be the most versatile, and I'm not a big fan of vehicles in general, so there's that. Surprisingly, in 6th place we have Caleb Schur, who is a pretty well-known Legacy Storm player who showed up with Mono Black Aggro. Somebody didn't tell him that this was not Theros standard anymore. But we've got 4 Scrap Heap Scrounger, 4 Walking Ballista, 4 Bone Picker, the new Black Delver. That it's normally 4 mana, but it costs 3 less if you have a creature die this turn, which is fairly easy, I would say, when you have things like Walking Ballista just sacrifice to it. Dread Wanderer, which is the 1-drop Jackal Zombie that comes into play tapped. Glint Sleeve Siphoner, which does the really bad Dark Confidant impersonation. Night Market Lookout. I forgot this card existed.
Yeah, that card is weird.
But
I tested in humans before Smuggler Copter got banned. There was like a white-black humans list.
Right.
And so you like crew Copter with this guy, your opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life, you attack for 3 and you loot. It was real weird. But
I saw a game where he was basically, he had opened up with 1 land in his hand and then 3 of these things. I'm like, okay, his opponent's dead, and he just went, look out, look out, look out. Hit you for 2, hit you for 4, hit you for 6. And then the game ended about a turn later. His opponent had played some tap lands, and that was it.
Yeah.
That's with Evolving Wilds. This deck just looks goofy. I mean, again, this is probably the best example of a week 1 low to the ground sort of affair, but just
I don't like the deck.
I don't either at all.
But it does things. I don't think it's gonna be a long-term existence, but it does things.
I mean, let's be realistic here, yeah. And then rounding out some of the 8th place, we have more Mardu Vehicles. Again, they made up 16 of the top 64 places at this tournament, which is to be expected, I think.
Yeah.
But I was expecting it to be a bit higher, and I'm glad that it wasn't in this case.
I mean, it gets a lot less loaded with Mardu in places 9 through 16, which is normally pretty close. So that's pretty cool. This blue-red Thermal Alchemist, the guy he titled it, Is It Machine Gun? It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I'm all for just burning the opponent out with Thermal Alchemist.
Yeah, I caught part of the day when in the middle of a game he was playing, and I saw Storm Chaser Mage, and I thought that's not a standard playable card. And I saw what he was following it up with, and I went, "Oh, this is a standard playable card."
Yeah, you can do some work with it, and like Weaver of Lightning still does a lot of work. It's got 4 Glory Bringers in the 75.
Yep.
It's got 4 Chandras, and it's got these main deck Fevered Visions, which is actually pretty decent against some decks in the format right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking for the deck. Oh, Black White Zombies also shows up here in 14th place in the hands of Zach Cadillo, it looks like. Which is basically that mono black deck that Caleb was playing, but he gets to go so much deeper with Crypt Breaker, Diagraph Colossus, a card that I even forgot existed until he played it and put 7+1/+1 counters on it. I was like, oh, that's a big game right there.
Well, and Dark Salvation can do work. That's pretty sweet.
Oh yeah, I didn't even see that here. Holy crap!
Well, and I was actually really intrigued because I didn't realize I hadn't seen this Lord of the Accursed, and I was like looking through Amonkhet stuff, and I saw it, and I'm like, well, that card actually is pretty sick. Like a 3-drop, pump my zombies, pay 2 to give them all menace. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's a 2/3, so he like can actually like block and interact if you're behind. And Wayward Servant's pretty awesome too.
Yeah. I like that it's finally giving Relentless Dead, which was so hyped when it was revealed back in Shadows, sort of its day in the sunlight. And we'd see Plague Belcher here as a 4, and that card's absolutely absurd. Of course, Gideon shows up in the sideboard because it's Gideon, and I like his 2 planes in his sideboard. If
you bring in Gideon, you gotta make it work. He's also got this Binding Mummy in the sideboard, which is pretty sweet. So that card's like a limited crusher, so that's fine. I don't know.
Definitely get behind that deck.
There's definitely like open space to build right now.
Yeah, definitely so. And
blue-black zombies is still probably a thing. Compelling Deterrence is still a heck of a card.
Oh yeah. Well, and you've been testing out the Blue-Red Emerge deck online that gets to ditch these advanced Stitch Wings and Stitch Wing Scabs, and then trigger those by returning them to the battlefield and getting back prized amalgams and using that to really kind of power up your Cathartic Reunions. And that deck looks really sweet too. I like it a lot. It's
fun. I like it. I want to figure out a way to make its sideboard plan its main deck plan, because you're just going off Deep Fiends and Kozilek's Return's main deck, but post board you have 4 Fevered Visions, 2 Hazarets, and 2 Drake Havens.
Yeah.
And Drake Haven and Fevered Vision do a lot of work in the format.
Yeah.
Like I played against Control twice last night. You lose game 1 instantaneously because you have all these Lightning Axes and Kozilek's Returns, but then you win both other games very easily because you're just so threat dense.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that deck's actually pretty fun, and it has a really good sideboard plan for any slow mid-range deck.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. So just kind of taking a quick glance through here. Yeah, we can see a lot of the same as we get further and further deeper into the 64. We see less and less Mardu Vehicles in the middle, which is kind of interesting. We see it very dense at the top, and then towards the bottom of the top 64, we see it down there as well, which is interesting to see that kind of spread. But there really isn't anything crazy that jumps out to me. Now that I'm looking at this Jund Monsters deck, it just looks like a goofy, just Jund colored dude deck. I mean, we randomly have Reality Smasher here as a 4-of. Hey,
Smasher's still a sweet card.
It gets the job done. I mean, that's damn for sure. So yeah, mono white humans in 52nd place. So there's room for this stuff to go on. I like that he's running Devoted Crop Bait, which is the Exert guy, which gets a 2-drop back out of your graveyard. I think it's pretty sweet. Of course, Gideon's here as well because Gideon. I will be curious to see what all of these white players do when Gideon rotates out. Like just this collective tier just drops.
Yeah. Well, because white is like humans and white is Gideon, so we don't really know what we're gonna do yet. The cars decks get a lot worse, but I don't know about that. I mean, it's cool because there's like these Aetherworks decks. Like, there's still just things out there.
Yeah.
We have these new split cards that aren't phenomenal, but like you still have the Blue Hulk interactions with them.
Yep.
What's the commit
to memory? Yeah.
To commit to memory. That card I did not like a whole lot to begin with, but in hindsight, that card's actually really, really strong.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it put it second from the top on rebound something. Mm-hmm. You can bounce a spell or a permanent, and then because you can gear hulk it and play the memory half of it at instant speed. Normally the problem with like those time twist effects is that your opponent you spend your mana doing it, and your opponent gets the first chance to use all these new 7 cards. Yeah. But you do it on their end step with your gear hulk, and you have a gear hulk in play, and you get to use the new 7 cards first.
Yeah.
And you're not tapped out. So like, because you're a control deck, so you have all these interactions. So there's some interesting interactions that are happening in the set that are going to leave a lot of things open to develop with. The Blue Hulk price spiked again a little bit because of it.
Yeah, I like Blue Hulk in just pretty much everything. I keep seeing him pop up in different modern lists as well as like an extra Snapcaster Mage threat, which I think is really cool. But yeah, Torrential Gear Hulk is going to cement his place just pretty firmly as the best blue card in the format, I think. Yeah. It just does everything.
Yeah. Essence Scouter's phenomenal to be back. Yes. The one card that I've cast a couple times and it's okay, but I didn't think it was as good whenever I first saw it, and I definitely agree with it still, is that Pull from Tomorrow is no Sphinx's Revelation. Like,
oh no.
Like, it's just not nearly as good. I don't feel great playing it unless we've already got the game stalled out, because you have to discard these cards. It's really bad earlier on. Like, it's really awkward, but Cast Out's phenomenal.
Yeah, Cast Out is fantastic as well. Censor, I've been seeing do a lot of great work online. Just the threat of Force Spike makes people play slow. Or defensively in this case. And
it's so easy to replace itself later.
Yeah.
And you're just a deck full of interaction, so you don't mind just pitching it later.
Yeah.
So it's great. Like the cycle effects are going to add a lot to this format. I haven't played with cycle in a standard format before, so I'm excited for that.
Well, let me ask about the cycling actually, because Luis Scott Vargas has been doing his entire set review over on Channel Fireball, and he does it from a limited and from a standard perspective. And when he does his standard perspective, he does a handful of cards from each color, so you're not getting all the junk filler. And there have been a lot of comments being made about that, where he keeps mentioning that cycling is just the best thing on a lot of these cards. And it seems to be that, I won't call them lesser players, but maybe players who haven't been around the game as long just don't seem to evaluate cycling abilities all that high. But LSV is just as high as you can get on these cards. So are you kind of in the same camp, Shawn, as far as the power level of these, or is it a little bit inflated, do you think?
So in Magic, I think about our change to the Mulligan rule, the Vancouver Mulligan, where you get the Scry 1. Mm-hmm. So the basis for it is we want games to be more competitive and more consistent, and we don't want to have games where people don't play. Yeah. So the floor on Cycle is real bad. Like, so I did play with Cycle whenever Alara Block was around. I started in Zendikar, the set right after Alara Block, but a lot of those cyclers weren't great. It was like it was basic land cycling and things like that. Just generic cycling is really good because you take cards that are already playable, and now they can replace themselves when they're not phenomenal. So, like you have your cards like the Hieroglyphic Illumination and the Cast Out, like the 4-mana Flash Speed Oblivion Ring. That's already pretty good. Yeah. But now you can cycle it for 1 mana if you're missing land drops or if it's dead because you already have a bunch of interaction. Hieroglyphic Illumination, like 4 mana, draw 2 cards. Oh wait, am I missing a land drop? I cycle it for 1, draw 1 card. Later on, I Gear Hulk it back. Yeah. So those cards are obvious, but the ability to, after there's a huge artifact set, the card I talk about the most is to run the green Shatter that cycles for 1 green, or with Delirium run Scarab Feast for 1 black. You can main deck those cards and cycle them whenever they're in dead matchup. So it lets the mid-range control decks just have these new angles and these silver bullets that are really phenomenal, and a lot of the cycles on instant speed effects. Yeah. So like Gear Hulk just becomes way better. But it just all it does is it makes games less swingy. Like you have less likelihood of saying I lost games because I didn't draw lands. Okay, then you ask yourself, well, how many cycle cards did you not cycle? And if your answer is above 1, then you have a problem. Right. Unless you were dead before you could cycle them, which there's not really. Outside the humans deck, mini decks that fast. Like if you're like, I cycled 4 cards, I never drew a land. Well, that's really unfortunate and not a very high percentage chance. Yeah. But the cycle just makes it where you have more likelihood to play Magic. The aggro decks get less out of it, but these mid-range decks and these control decks get a ton out of it. So I think it really boosts any card with the text on it.
Yeah, you mentioned the green Shatter. There's the white one that exiles an artifact or an enchantment in white. But also, it's like I think it's like for 3 mana. I forget the name of it off the top of my head. But yeah, you're absolutely forsake the worldly is what it is.
The big one is Scorching Suns. Like
other cards, nuts. Yeah.
Radiant Flames and Kozilek's Returns don't get much play. Radiant Flames because the spell color scared everybody off the card. Nobody's gotten back on it yet.
Yeah.
It's getting a little bit play in these Jeskai decks. Like I saw the Jeskai deck running Radiant Flames, and I'm like, why are we running Radiant Flames? Just run Scorched Suns. Like, it's not that hard to make the mana work for it. But in the matchups, it's dead. It's not a dead card. It's got an expensive cycle. But the thing is, if you think about it, everybody, like heard people complaining about it at a pre-release. Like it's 3 mana to cycle. Okay, well,
if it was 2, it'd be insane.
Well, if it was 1 or 2, it'd be insane. But if you really think about the logic behind the card, 3 mana, deal 3 to all creatures. The matchups where you don't want that effect and you're going to cycle it are matchups where you have time to pay 3 mana to draw a card.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because it's not an aggressive deck. Right. The decks where you don't ever have time to pay 3 mana to draw a card are the decks where you want to pay 3 mana to wipe the board.
Yeah.
So it's very well designed, and it's a card that blue-red based control decks can run 2 or 3 main deck without really getting terribly punished.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the only matchups you don't want it, you still have this effect. And it still kills like Tireless Trackers, and it still kills the green Pima Renegade. It kills Spider tokens. Like it still kills all these things. You can still pair it up with like Magma Jets to exile things. There's just so many cards that you like. I want to run that effect main deck because this matchup's so bad, but I have to put it in my sideboard because other matchups it's not good. And now you're like, I can run my Silver Bullets for my bad matchups main deck. Yeah, if you're on blue-red control and you only lose to humans, put 3 Scorched Earths or Scorched Suns in your main deck. And whenever you play against another control deck, you cycle them.
Yeah.
But now you have Silver Bullets for your bad matchup. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, I cannot people that are playing Radiant Flames, it doesn't make any sense to me anymore, honestly. Like, if the mana's bad in your Jeskai deck, make it work. But the variable damage that you can change on Radiant Flames just doesn't seem to be worth the upside. That one.
No, because they only run Torrential Gearhulk. So like, you're not really doing anything extra out of it. Like you're not gonna like do it for 2.
Yeah.
The double red's harder, but I mean you can make the mana probably work.
Yeah, I don't see why you can't. I mean between Aether Hub and you have Spirebluff Canal now to make that jump that gap. It's probably doable. I could be wrong, but.
It's because they have Gearhulk, they have Fumigate, and they don't want to run Scorching Suns because their early game spells are blue and white.
That's
but
true.
Just shift your deck to be early game blue and red and Fumigate your late game because Cast Out only costs 1 white. Yeah. So I don't know. The thing is, it's just you have this game. Like I'm all for anything that makes games of Magic come down less to variance.
Yeah.
And the way you do that is you have scries whenever you mulligan. You have cycling effects. You have from the cons block. You have these grizzly bears you can pay for 3 colorless mana.
Yep.
Like ways to stay in matches. And so you put it on cards that are already decent against a lot of decks in the format, and now you're just way consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say that with week 1 on the books, I would give Standard a solid pass in terms of. Obviously, Mardu Vehicles is a thing. It'll continue to be a thing until the Pro Tour, and probably next week we'll see something new, hopefully.
We couldn't expect much different with 2 days before the tournament.
Oh, absolutely not.
And it's a small tournament. Like, the big players don't go to SCGs very often.
Yeah.
So it's people who are going in, it's a high EV, and we want to play it safe, so why am I going to gamble?
Exactly, yeah. You mentioned, the bigger players don't show up to this thing. Chiho Yim, who is a pretty prominent Japanese player, I believe, was at this event, and I have no idea why. Here for the Pro Tour way early.
Well, but the Japanese players, like Japanese metagame, is always so weird. They love to innovate.
Yeah,
they are not net deckers. Like they love to make weird decks and really adjust decks. And like I'll see a sweet looking Japanese deck list from a Japanese tournament, and it does not work in the United States because theirs are all about finding these really good synergistic plays that work to your play style. Like that's how their metagame works.
Yep.
Whereas the United States is a lot of net decking, so you're better off having a deck that plays against the meta. So. Yeah. You want to play against a known meta in the United States. In Japan, the meta is so crazy because everybody's just playing these crazy brews that work to their play style that you can't really meta deck as well out there because there's some crazy shenanigans happening. So those decks are always fun to watch. Like normally you don't take away like a tier 1 deck out of there because it's normally built very specifically. But you can find some cool interactions that those guys discover.
Oh yeah, most definitely, yeah. And I want to say that he is from Japanese, and I could be wrong. So if I'm mistaken, he is from the Asian area, so the Asia Pac region, to be more PC correct there.
But I don't know where half of the players are from, and any of the pros. I don't follow pros very heavily, so I the only one I know that I know a few Americans because I'm from America. I know Paulo's from Brazil, and I know Alexander Hayne is from Canada.
Yep.
Because he was like one of the only pros that I like watched interviews with because I was trying to understand why he ran Feeling of Dread in his Miracle deck, and I was like, oh, this is sweet. Okay, so I just watched his interview and they were talking about his being Canadian team.
Yeah.
I don't follow very many pros.
Yeah, the only one that I have a consistent radar on is Patrick Diekman, and that's only because we did an interview with him very early on in the life of the podcast here, and I had to adjust for his time zone because he lives in Germany, and that was a bit of a stretch for me to realize I had to be online at like 9 a.m. to catch the interview with him. But if you have not gone back and listened to that interview, it is a bit outdated because the way that Modern has changed and things like that. But the man is just interesting to listen to talk to. He is a phenomenal player and has a really good insight to things. So standard moving forward next week, I think we'll see better. In addition to what was going on in standard, we also had a Modern Classic in Atlanta. Things look fine in Modern. First place, Ad Nauseam. Second place, Scred Red, because that deck just likes to ruin people's days every once in a while. Third and fourth place were Burn. Fifth place was Elves. Sixth place was Burn. Seventh place, White Red Prison. And in eighth place was Eldrazi-tron. And then we got to see your usual players of Affinity, Abzan and Company, Death Shadow, Jund, Bant Eldrazi doing its thing, Scapeshift, Jeskai Sahili in 22nd place. So I guess one guy showed up to the tournament and was like, oh crap, well I guess I have my Modern deck as a backup, and just took his Felidar Guardians to Modern.
I guess instead of these Wandering Fumaroles, we'll put in some Steam Vents and let's go.
Yeah, I mean, 22nd place, not bad. I mean,
I played against the deck. It can be scary. Like it's still that effect is still good. Remand is still a good card, but the format's very proactive right now in Modern, so that's kind of what that deck it really works with, is it just kind of tempos you, and while you're trying to be proactive, it tempos you out a little bit. It's less strong the more people know about it, but
although when it comes to just like the antithesis of proactivity in Modern right now, I've been playing the blue-white control that's been popping up recently. It's been decking Elspeth, Jace, and Gideon, and then Spreading Seas and Supreme Verdicts, and it's the most dirtily deck in the world, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I got some reps in with blue-black Tezzeret the other day. I was playing against Ivan. He was on Abzan Coco at the pre-release, and I was running him over, just because he would go for combos, and I was able to whir and get the Executioner's Capsule or Fatal Push, and then I would just out of nowhere draw a card and be like, oh, okay, I have a combo now, and I just make all these 1/1s, and I'll play this Ensnaring Bridge, and I'll attack with these 1/1s, and then I'll play my land, and I'll attack with these 1/1s, and I'll play my land. It was pretty sweet. The deck is fun. It's very complicated.
I'm finishing my version of it. I need to get the War of Inventions, the Pentad Prisms, and I'm trying to decide just how necessary it is to have Mox Opal in that deck. I'm assuming very.
A couple. You don't need a ton.
Yeah, I'm thinking one of at most. Could be able to war for Mox Opal on their ends, but it's kind of sweet.
I'm doing 2 or 3, but I've never word for Mox. But I'm doing 2 or 3 of them, just to try to have the explosive starts.
Yeah.
I don't run the Mishra's Baubles, and I don't think they're super necessary.
No, I've seen that version. I saw Jerry Thompson stream that, and it looked cool, but I just think it's an unnecessary piece. It's cute that it can give you an extra improvise source, but other than that, I don't think it's all that necessary. But I could be wrong.
It does make the deck better, but I'm not going to spend the money on that card.
Oh no.
Whenever this isn't a deck that I'm really planning on taking to a big tournament, I'm just playing it every once in a while, wind down and have fun again.
I'll get some store credit at my local shop and then buy some Moxables that way, because I'm not spending $70 on a Mox right now. There's no.
Are they that much right now? I'm so glad I got mine real cheap.
Well, I shipped mine when right before Affinity really exploded, and I had the entire deck for a while, and I got rid of it. Yeah, they're $65, so that's kind of rough. Ugh, yeah.
Ugh. I got mine real cheap, and so I'm just been sitting on them because I'm always on Affinity or Lantern or this deck now. Like, I don't know. The card's just like a marquee card, so I'm like, I guess we won't get rid of it.
I had gotten mine for 15 back when they were first printed because they weren't played in anything, and I sat on them and sat them. So I got a return on my investment, like double at least. But I kind of wish I had them now.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it works. I'm going to probably clean out a lot of excess soon, so you just kind of got to live with it.
Yeah, I have enough modern decks as it is right now. I can play literally whatever I want, other than Moxable decks.
Yeah, and they don't want us to play that format anyway, so that's fine.
Exactly. Although, I am glad that there's now a shop down here in Florida that's actually doing two weekly modern events, and the payout is insane. Like, third place last week, $25 in store credit. I was just like, hype!
Big baller over there. Oh, goodness. Oh.
Hey, that's how you just demoralize people with Elspeth.
We're going places. Get out of here with Elspeth.
I'm just saying. And I got to play against Death Shadow for the first time. I got to pull off the sweet Condemn action. I was like, you can't cast those guys ever now.
Yeah. The Death Shadow deck is...
You gain 4.
Yeah, the Death Shadow deck is crazy, but like there's ways around it. Devour Flesh is sweet when they have a Goyf in play and they cast a Death Shadow.
Yes.
In response, boop. You gain 7. That thing resolves. Oh, that dies. Cool. Yeah. When I decide to kill you, it's gonna be on my terms. Yep. Not on your terms.
Exactly. And I love the spreading seas that are in this blue-white control deck. Like my opponent, I was on a real slow start on Death Shadow, and I was like, okay, so he Undergrown Tomb, turn 1, untapped all that. I'm like, okay, he's trying to get the Death Shadow done soon. Draw the Spreading Seas. I'm like, oh, okay, have an island. And then he finds his next land, cracks it. He doesn't get the green source, though, for the Tarmogoyf, which I thought was coming. I'm like, okay, draw Spreading Seas. I'm like, yes! Now I'm going to sit over here with Mana Leaks and Cryptic Commands and Final Resolve Jace here in about 6 turns.
Spreading Seas is strong.
It's such a stupid card. He actually had to read it. Like, when he picked it up, I was like, oh, you don't know what this card does.
Man, are you prying on these locals that don't want to play the format? Get out of here.
Like,
get out of here.
If you show up with Death, like, half of the room was on Death Shadow that night. It was a smaller turnout, and there were, like, 4 guys on Death Shadow. I was like, if you show up with Death Shadow, I expect you to be a competent player. It's bad when the kid playing the Mardu mid-range homebrew featuring Chandra Pyromaster as like the best card in it. I'm like, you show me some respect, guys. I need some competent play here. So I don't know.
Yeah, we need to get you better anyway. So that's probably. I'll send a message down there, like, guys, Alex needs work, so I need you guys to really do a little bit of homework. You can watch me stream. I don't play Modern because those cards are expensive online, but I mean, you could probably learn something from any format I play, so that's fine.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I mean, you do need work. Not that everybody can learn from me, but you do need work.
Progress. Steady progress. Oh, I love steady progress. Did you ever cast steady progress when it was in standard? Love that card. Draw card.
Oh no, I did that one.
Yeah.
I cast more Tezzeret's Gambits than Steady Progress.
Yeah, once I got, like, that was when I first got back into the game, and I thought that was, like, the best thing ever. Once I discovered that Tezzeret's Gambit was infinitely better.
Yeah. Well, just way better.
My jam.
Oh, gosh.
All right. Well, I think that wraps it up for tonight. We're going to see where Standard goes next week. We have the Pro Tour coming up, and then whatever else Wizards decides to do between now and then, who knows? Maybe we can make it through an entire week without anything blowing up. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. I think we're gonna end up with a pretty decent format.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I'm excited to see what happens and for our devastation. Let's get that in here quickly, shake things up, and just move on from there, and just forget all about Zendikar block.
Yeah. Yeah, the Zendikar block
stemming from that block in general.
Well, and the Shadows block, like, they're both pretty cool, but they both had some real, like, grindy, unfun things to them.
Yeah.
It will be nice to, like, not have a list of standard cards that are banned when Reflector Mage and Emrakul goes away.
Right. Yeah, one day we'll wake up and this will all be better. Yeah. And Alex might be playing standard again. Who knows?
I mean, yeah, the format's not bad. It's just It's not phenomenal.
Yeah, I just needed to quiet down and not be such a pain in the butt, and not have to just, yeah.
There's some fun decks in standard.
Yeah, there definitely are. I need it to be. I need the time first, and then I need the interest. So if some of these control decks start doing super sweet, then I'm on board. But we'll wait for that to happen, and then we can go from there. But for the time being, I think we're good.
Yeah, I agree.
Excellent. Yeah. So, as always, be sure to check us out every week over on the mtgcast.com, along with all the other great channels that are on there. Check us out over on YouTube. Just look for the EOT News Flash. You can also look for Shawn, look for Busted Sleeves on YouTube. He's been doing some Hearthstone streaming and some Magic streaming, and I assume it's good quality content.
It's not bad. Yeah.
Right.
You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. All Busted Sleeves, one word, lowercase.
Hashtag Busted Sleeves.
Exactly. So, trying to keep it all unified as much as I want to pick funny, fancy names. I'm like, we got to keep everything the same.
That's why you need to stream something funcy and fan. Yeah.
Yeah. So my YouTube videos are actually mobile recorded.
And they look really cool from that regard.
It's super fun because Android released this update that allows you to record your games on your phone, and then it picks up audio out of your microphone like you're on the phone, and you can turn off notifications. And so basically, I just turn on Spotify, and I just sit down and I just play on my phone and talk. And so I don't have overlays and stuff. But it's just cool to be able to make videos anywhere I'm at of me playing Hearthstone. Yeah. And then my Magic is on my Twitch. I stream it on Twitch. I've started doing that over the last. I'm started getting it set up over the last few days. I'm gonna be really running with that, especially once summer break starts getting closer.
Yeah. So definitely check out that. Also check out my new video project over on the YouTube channel where I am reviewing all of the DC animated movies from the past 15 years. It's a 4-month endeavor, and then beyond, I'll do something else. I'll figure something else out. But that's been a lot of fun so far. So check those out. I've gotten 2 up so far. Definitely go check it out, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and also like and subscribe to Shawn as well, because
please do.
Popularity makes us feel better about ourselves.
It tells me I'm not just alone in a basement playing a game. It tells me I'm alone in a basement playing a game with people over the internet. Yay!
Exactly. Which is only one step up.
Yeah, we're only physically alone, not emotionally alone. So dark.
Oh no. Let's bring ourselves back up. Let's go see the approach of the second sun.
Oh god.
Find us on Facebook at EOT Newsflash. Find us on Twitter at EOT Newsflash. Send all of your love, hate, and respect, and your appreciation of terrible, terrible puns to eotnewsflash@gmail.com. And because Steven's not here tonight, do you want to say it, Shawn, or should I say it?
You can take it, buddy.
One of these days we'll get to say it. One of these days.
One of these days.
One of these days. So let's do it again next week. Thanks for watching, guys.